Hello, YouTube. Welcome to the Ghostlight Social, the crazy internet weird social pub where we get creative people together. We have a chinwag of an evening.
How you doing? How you doing, Mike? How you feeling?
I'm all right. I feel much better. I think I'm on my 14th day of COVID, so I'm pretty much clear. Touch wood. My family's fine, and I'm desperate to get out of the house.
Any funny videos of you in bandanas?
No.
With bandanas around your mouth or anything to share with us?
No. I mean, I've got a bandana here. I could put one on.
Well, I'd rather you didn't. That's brilliant.
Yeah,
that's good then.
Quality content.
I'm not sharing anything. I can't be bothered. There are loads of stuff. There's loads of free stuff going on the internet. Just go and have a look. There's the National Theatre is rerunning Frankenstein with Johnny Lee Miller and Benedict Cumberbatch. They're doing their thing, and you can watch both versions. And if you're going to watch only one version, I would very strongly recommend you watch the version where Johnny Lee Miller plays the creature, because it's much better that way around, in my opinion.
I've seen a couple of reviews of that, and as stylish as it is, and as great as those two guys are, some people were a bit like style of a substance a bit. So I don't know. I'm not a big fan of watching filmed theatre. No. Do you know what I mean? I kind of it doesn't suit the medium for me.
You haven't watched it yet?
No.
There's a lot of light bulbs.
There's a lot of light bulbs. Well, it's the
In
theatre.
fact,
otherwise it'd be dark. You could just literally play a tape, couldn't you?
All right, smart ass. I mean, in the design of the of the set, there's a hell of a lot of bulbs, which is quite impressive. But cool. there is this really good scene at the beginning where the monster comes out of what I can only describe as a sort of 10-foot diameter vagina.
I'm really glad that you've not had enough Guinness that you use the proper medical term.
Yeah, well, there's time. Yeah, so this is episode 12,
yes.
which is impressive considering we started this as a bit of a laugh, and we're still having a bit of a laugh, so that's all right. So anyway, should we get on with it?
Yeah.
Let's introduce our guests. Ladies and gentlemen, very, very happy and excited to welcome Anthony Lewis and Matthew Lewis.
I live in about 30 miles southwest of London.
Oh, okay, that's me corrected. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
In which case, neither of them are actually anywhere near Yorkshire, so why did we invite them on?
We bleed Yorkshire.
Yeah. And Matthew Lewis, who is joining us on a little bit of a dodgy connection, but that's fine. All the way from sunny Florida, which, you know, life can't be that bad.
Yeah, it's pretty sunny. I've actually spent more time in the garden than I've ever done in my entire life. I've learned to mow the lawn, trim the hedges, all the rest of it. It's been all right.
I've seen the videos. It's true.
You've learned to mow the lawn.
I've never done it. I've never had to do it before.
Have you got to sit on lawnmower, is it?
No. It's not that big. I've got one of those manual ones because I thought I'd have to put some elbow grease into it when I'm not going to the gym.
No, you haven't.
I have. You've got to really...
You know, fair enough. If you're going to learn
There's all that thought of manual labour.
Absolutely. If you're going to learn to cut the grass, you may as well do it with a manual lawnmower.
Yeah.
I've not seen a manual lawnmower for years.
It's brand new. I was as surprised to see it as you are, honestly, when I went into the shop and saw them, because it reminds me of something from like America in like the 1950s, like the idea.
This connection is like something from the 1950s.
It's a very normal thing, apparently. At least I was told. Yeah.
It's not normal.
I mean, it's not normal on here, but
it's not normal.
I've seen films and they all have manual ones on, like
TV
in
the 50s. Yes.
Yeah, it's that World War II.
Have you got a white picket fence?
They're really good.
Have you got a white picket fence?
No.
To go along with?
His house is like American Gothic. You know,
It'll change your life.
No, well, we'll talk about football in a moment. But I know you're into your rugby league.
We grew up going to watch rugby league because my dad had begun to watch Leeds Rhinos, or Leeds RL as they were then, since he was like 5 years old, and he's in his 70s now, so he's been going for a long time. We used to go to games just with my dad, who'd sort of gone as a fan for years, and then been very lucky to go to games and finals and grand finals and Challenge Cup finals, and gone with the players and the squad. You know, it's been a real kind of very privileged kind of to be able to do that. As kind of big fans growing up watching it.
In terms of the level of skill involved, there is a huge amount of skill, but I think there's just something really it's like boxing in a way. It's seeing blokes in peak physical condition just doing things that you go, I have no interest in real life doing anything like that, but God, I love watching it. Like we're talking about impacts that are the equivalent G-force of 20-mile-an-hour car crashes. Like these guys are putting their body through things that I don't even want to dream of. They're nightmares to me. But it's fascinating to watch, and I think particularly in America, like I was talking about on that particular clip, you know, they're used to having the helmets and the pads and stuff. They just think we're all insane. They think we're completely crazy, but they love to watch it. And I admire all those blokes because they're all really, as Anthony I think was just saying then, they're such great salt of the earth men. They really are.
Yeah.
It's a really good sort of. I mean, certainly compared. It's probably where football was 40 years ago. It's the blokes down the pub. It's the bloke you could just see down the street, your next door neighbour. It's got that real community vibe about it, which I think football's lost that a lot in the last 20 years.
You feel part of a club in a way that I don't think that it's quite possible to feel part of a football club anymore. Maybe you might have your own communities within that football club, whether it's a supporters club or a travelling club or whatever, and I've had a few of them myself. But you actually feel part of the Rhinos, like I'm sure people feel part of the Tigers and whatever. Where I think that somewhere along the way, particularly in the Premier League, football has lost a bit of that a little bit. You know, it's a sport that was bred out of adversity. You know, they were fighting against the man, literally against the London elite. I worked a lot down south when I was growing up, and the idea of being a rugby league fan was literally laughable. Like I used to have the piss taken out of me all the time and I think that the northern clubs and fans really actually embrace that, and it brings us together.
When me and Matt used to live together in London, we used to go down to rugby league. They used to rugby league London, didn't they, on a Friday down at the sports bar? And we used to go down just to go and watch the live games, just to be with other people who are rugby league fans in London, and it was brilliant. It was such a nice vibe and an atmosphere. It reminded you kind of, you know, it's a little slice of home really, but we had to really search for it. Whatever they decide to do, not everyone's going to be happy. But my gut feeling is that they will try and get the games finished
in the Premier League.
In the Premier League.
Yeah.
And then I think they'll do some kind of points per game or top two, whatever, for the rest of the leagues.
The idea of null and voiding the season, I think the Premier League and the EFL should have come out weeks ago and said that's not happening. Whatever we do, we don't know, but that's not happening. How can you play out the remaining games and have any legitimacy to the fixtures if 4 or 5 of the clubs are no longer playing for survival? I mean, that's when you get upsets. That's when you get crazy results, when teams are fighting to survive. And if you remove that, who's going to give a shit if you're in the bottom 3? What are you playing for?
Voiding will mean there's no winners, no losers. We'll just start again next year. But clubs like Leeds will a club who's basically 80% of the season has dominated and absolutely earned the right to be in with a shout, will potentially have the rug pulled out from underneath them. Financially, they're not getting any parachute payments. They'll probably lose their manager. They'll probably have to sell a bunch of their players. The thought that Leeds can just come back and do that again next season is ridiculous.
We've played 37 games. Like, you've got to acknowledge that. Like, this is not like the season's just started so we can draw a line under it. Come on, like the lion's share, like you said, 80% of this season has been played. If you're in the bottom 3, like, that's no fault of anyone but yourself. Like,
you know, Leeds and West Brom are not top of that league with 6-7 points clear. It's not enough fluke. That's.
And let's be honest, Lee. They've been top 2 all season.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. Song for the playlist.
What's that one I was on the other day? The one. Oh bloody hell! What's it called? The one about. Oh, you know what? I can't remember the name of it.
Give us a clue. Give us a clue.
It's a great song. Unforgettable.
It's the greatest song ever written.
Alexa, what's that song? You know that song. We're on the other day. Okay. You have a think. I'll come back to you.
Yeah, come back to me. I'll Google it. I'll be right back.
How are you going to Google it?
It goes that.
I should have been doing my homework, shouldn't I?
Instead of playing Call of Duty, yes.
I got married last year, so I was thinking I should maybe use the song that was my first dance, which has been a romantic gesture and a nice thing to do. It actually is a song I really like. It was Maybe I'm Amazed, Paul McCartney and Wings, which is
that is nice. That's
big Beatles fan. So it was quite nice to have that as my first dance. It's actually cool. It's a cool song as well. Dave Grohl covered it. His version's really good as well. And my all-time favourite band ever is Nirvana, so that ties in nicely with that as well. But the song that I've actually gone for is also Dave Grohl, and it's Everlong by Foo Fighters. It's just a song that I just absolutely love. I can't stop drumming to it. Gets me right in the mood. Just a great tune, and it's one of those that just I could listen to it anytime, anywhere, and I'll love it.
How did Google do?
Well, I found it. But I don't want it anymore. It was "Take Me Home, Country Road" by John Denver. If you're wondering, I don't know how you didn't get it from the description. But
now you've said it. I mean,
Google's
it's obvious, right? You know the one. "Strawberry Fields Forever" by the Beatles. I'm going to go with for no reason whatsoever other than it's just a good song.
The most coronavirus thing you've done?
My mother-in-law has sewn me a mask to wear, face mask, out of Star Wars cloth. Wear that when I go to the supermarket with my gloves. And,
do you actually wear it when you go to the supermarket?
I do, yeah. I've read many a comment on it, actually.
Well, that's pretty good. Star Wars mask. All right, I'll have that. If you're not making it up.
Do you want me to go get it?
Please go and get it.
Yeah, go get it. Go get it.
All right, I'll go get it.
Go get it.
Think of that.
Do you know that is awesome.
It looks like a thong.
I think that's what it was originally.
Who sent it to you? Who sent it to you?
That's good. I like that.
And your mother-in-law made that.
My mother-in-law made that.
Do you know what? She could make a few quid doing them, you know. Get in touch. I'll sort you out with a UK market for that.
I announce at the BBC. That's kind of what I do on a day-to-day kind of basis. And I actually introduced Boris Johnson telling the nation that we were going into lockdown. And it ended up on Gogglebox. And then the following week, I introduced the Queen and telling everyone the same thing. And that was on Gogglebox as well. So I'm going to take those as my coronavirus things, memories that I will always have. So there you go.
Pretty good.
Our brand on BBC One is oneness, and part of the brand is that they want us, the viewers, to feel like we're watching TV with them. So we're encouraged to kind of talk about stuff. So if I see anything that's remotely involves Leeds United, I'm straight in there, and I'm all over it. I did one for Rhinos as well. I introduced the Super League show. I said something like, now on the Super League show, my beloved Leeds Rhinos. Oh, sorry, I mean the Super League show or something. You know, so you just kind of you can have a bit of a laugh of it, and but then occasionally you'll just be in there, and it'll be in 5 minutes you've got to introduce the Prime Minister is about to tell the nation that we're in lockdown, and I get told afterwards like 23 million people just watched that. You don't really think about it when you're at work, but then there's moments then you kind of go, oh shit, actually that's kind of quite a thing.
Yeah.
So then I did Queen the following week, and then that was like I was suddenly really ultra aware then, and I was like, oh my god, loads of people are watching this.
Did you put a bit of a voice on when you did the Queen? You know, like your grandma's telephone voice.
Yeah, exactly. You kind of do. Yeah, you go a bit serious because I'm quite northern normally, but then I go, yeah, it's very serious. Now, Her Majesty the Queen, all that kind of stuff.
You can't just go, all right, Shagger, here's a man.
No. What's your vice during lockdown?
Definitely drinking more. My wife bakes a lot. She's really good. She's a really good cook and bake. So I'm having lots of cookies, biscuits, brownies, banana loaves, which just seems to be a bit of a trend at the moment. But she's always done those for us. To be fair, I'm almost working full time at the moment. So I'm kind of I'm not having a traditional lockdown like a lot of people, but my vice is certainly I'm drinking a lot of coffee, and I'm definitely eating a lot of bacon, and I'm drinking a lot more than I normally do. I don't really drink at home that much, but for some reason I'm just kind of like, I think it's because the choice has been taken away to go out to a restaurant or anything. I'm just like, when I go to the supermarket, I'm like, I'm just going to get some beers, and I'm doing lots of Zoom quizzes and things like that, and so it's just, I'm certainly making sure the fridge has always got some alcohol in it at all times.
So we're in the garden yesterday. We did all the gardening, but we're like, well, we can't do gardening without a drink, can we? So we started at 11 a.m. and my wife just made like a vat of margarita. So we're just knocking that away. In fact, we got a local restaurant that we're trying to support during this time. Obviously, we can't go there for dinner or anything. So they sell their own margarita. We'll just go around there, buy a gallon of margarita, just rattle that off. But we're supporting local business, so it's very important.
Yeah, are they actually doing takeout food as well, or just margaritas?
Yeah, food.
Oh.
And they bring out with the gloves and the masks, and they put it in your boots so you don't talk to them or anything like that. And they just sign on the thing.
You're not allowed to talk to them.
They don't, but they just come to the window,
hell.
sign the thing.
It's nothing to do with contamination. Just doesn't want to talk to him.
So we do that. So we've been polishing off literally gallons of margarita. When I'm working, I don't drink at all. How positive that is. The negative side of it is that when I'm not working, I drink a lot. And the same with food. So I eat really healthily when I'm working, and then as soon as I finish, I just eat as much shit as I can get my hands on. I go to the gym like 5 times a week, and that makes me feel guilty about drinking or eating bad food. Like when I've been in the gym, I'm like, well, I don't want to drink anything because it'll ruin my workout I've just had, and it'll make me feel rough for the workout tomorrow. So I just don't do it. Same with bad food. But since I'm not going to the gym either, and I'm not working, I've run out of excuses to not drink and eat crap food. I've put some weight on. Let's just leave it at that.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. But how many toilet rolls have we got in the house?
I think I've got about 8.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah, we're quite well stocked, but
Matt's got a funny story about toilet rolls. Tell them when you moved into your house.
Oh well, so yeah, just before this, I mean, it's not that funny. It's built it up.
It's better me now.
It's the best story ever.
So just before lockdown, we this house sale went through, so we moved in. I think the same day we moved in was when all the news was running on toilet rolls running out, and there was people in America like with big, massive like Costco shopping carts filled with toilet roll. But the people who moved out of our house had moved out the month earlier, left all the toilet roll in every toilet in the house. Little could they have known what value they were leaving behind.
How many are we talking? How many did they leave?
Well, we've got three toilets, and we were talking one and a spare in each one. So
Okay.
at least-
It immediately doubled the price of his house.
That was just a gesture of goodwill that they grossly underestimated the value of.
And weirdly, didn't they leave you a bottle of Corona in the fridge?
Yeah, there was 2 bottles.
They were. That was a piss take.
Yeah.
I'm now, because they did that, I'm now starting to think that the toilet rolls were a piss take as well.
Well, whatever. Worked for us.
It certainly did. No, it's great. Did you drink the Corona?
No, it's still there. I touched it. It's probably laced in it. I don't trust that.
Been in America too long.
Glad you said that.
We ordered our shopping to be delivered, and we get like the big 6 pints of milk because a 1-year-old drinks milk like anything. And when I did the maths, we had 30 pints of milk. 30. I'm like, what the fucking hell do we need 30 pints? And we're getting another delivery like in a week, and I'm like,
How big's your fridge?
oh, it's massive.
My mother-in-law always coming to the rescue during this time of crisis.
She made you some toilet roll out of Star Wars material.
She cleans our toilet roll and brings it back. That's what she does. Drop it off. She brings it back.
Nice.
She has one of those cards to the wholesalers. She pops down there and gets tons of the stuff. So she drops it in now and then. So we've easily got 12 going. Yeah.
I see why you married her. I can see that. Fair enough.
I don't really want to disclose exactly how much I've got because
There's a lot.
Popping over and helping themselves.
Why is there? Are we talking a lot? Is it all voiceover stuff that you're doing? What are you up to at the minute?
There's been the odd shift, like writing for BBC Three and stuff, which I've been working from home, which has been quite good. And then also doing some voiceovers from home as well.
You were in Children's Ward for a while, weren't you?
3 years.
Yeah.
So three series of that. Yeah. And actually, I started as I was in as a patient to start with, and then I made friends with an old lady, and then she's left me some money to set up the hospital radio station. So I ran the hospital radio station for a couple of series as well.
Were you ill for the whole 3 years?
No. So it's funny. So this is a really funny small world kind of story. But my character was in with tonsillitis, and then I got sent home after the first 3 episodes. Then I met a guy on the internet who was pretending to be a child.
Yeah, I remember that.
And turned out to be it was a paedophile, and he chased me and tried to kidnap me, and we both got run over by a car, and I ended up back in hospital. And then I made friends with an old elderly terminal cancer patient, and then I ended up staying in it as a non-patient regular.
You just
patient.
came in of your own accord every.
Yeah, and the episode where we got run over by chased by a paedophile and run over was written by Russell T Davies, and we won a BAFTA for it.
Bluestone 42. We've got to talk about that. I absolutely love it.
I wasn't in the first series, but I think that they'd heavily taken inspiration from, without putting us on a level at all, but from MASH and stuff like that was taking a very serious topic, being deployed in Afghanistan and just trying to find some humor in it, really. I mean, it was just a sitcom. It was a business place sitcom that the business happened to be soldiering. A lot of the storylines, a lot of the pranks and stuff were all heavily researched from our two writers, Simon and James and Richard, and they just spoke to servicemen and they lifted so many of those gags and stuff from actual stories from Iraq and Afghanistan, and we kind of got to a point where we were like, yeah, okay, we've got a fan base. It was the most viewed show on BBC Three at the time, but we're making this for the service guys, the guys who can go, I recognize that. That's the job that I remember doing, not the depressing one that they always talk about on BBC News. That's the one I remember doing, because a lot of these guys, they enjoy being soldiers. Obviously, it was ridiculous with the comedy side of it, but we wanted to make the gags and the situations as realistic as possible so that they could enjoy it and not feel like it was another example of TV using their situation to sell something. We wanted to make it for them, really. Sort of writing lots of quizzes at the minute, which is kind of what a lot of my time is taken up on, because I like to write them from scratch. I don't like to pull questions offline, and so a full quiz takes me 6 hours, and so I've been writing an awful lot of those for some people who frankly don't appreciate it. Me and Anthony used to do a lot of pub quizzes back when we lived in Leeds, and actually when we lived in London, we used to go every week to a local pub. And what you tend to find, this is such a boring thing, but when you tend to find is when you lift them off the internet, they invariably be the same typical pub quiz questions that everyone usually likes to remember and stuff. So I like to do them from scratch, you see.
I remember once.
That's when he turns his computer off and he goes upstairs and says, I'm not doing this anymore.
There's something about you can see that actually the quizzes are not going to be much fun. This is a serious. Right? Are you going to play properly? Or are we not playing at all? What are we doing?
This is a learning opportunity. Come on.
Coincidentally, I used to do the weekly pub quiz when we were filming Bluestone in South Africa. I used to take the weekly pub quiz.
God, you did.
And yeah, they used to take the piss out of me because they said I was just like this dour northern pub landlord who was just shouting at everyone down the microphone, not paying attention.
Yeah.
I'm laughing, but when we used to go to do our quizzes in London, we would just sit there going, he's taking his phone to the toilet. He's talking. Why are they talking? It's ridiculous. There's rules for a reason. What are you doing? We just used to get so annoyed.
Did you ever win?
We used to win all the time. Yeah.
What kind of a question's that?
What was the last line that you said to an audience or to camera?
So the last thing I literally said before I introduced Father Brown and then came home. It's really cutting edge. I'm really sort of.
Are you allowed to tell us what you said?
Well, it went out on air, so I what did I say? It opened on a motor racing car starting up, and I said something like, "There's a crime needs solving. Start your engines, please." And then it opened on. That was it.
You've made a film recently, a short film.
Yes.
On my own.
That'll probably be the last thing we did more recently. Well reminded. I knew I'd done something.
Can you remember what your last line was in that?
I'm sorry. And then he gives a big hug. I think that's what it was.
I've got the script up here, and I can't read the whole line to you.
Okay.
It's from All Creatures Great and Small, which I just managed to finish filming before all this kicked off. But I'm thrilled when I looked this up as well, because the line is the very last thing I said when I finished on my last day. See you again, I'm sure. Which I thought,
great.
That was nice.
It's a complete reboot of the original series, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah. James Herriot's introduction into Yorkshire as the new local vet, and it's trying to keep it very close to the original novels. He is a young Scotsman from Glasgow, I think he's actually from, and then he winds up here living with Siegfried, and played by Sam West. When I first read it, to be, and I've said this to the producers, and I've said it in a couple of interviews as well. When I first got sent the scripts, it's about a vet. Like, I don't know, it sounds boring. I'm no interest in doing this. My agent said, please just read the first 2 scripts, and I was like, all right, I'll read them. And I honestly, I don't say this lightly, I was gripped immediately. But it's incredibly funny. It's really warm. All the characters are really well rounded and charming, and you know what? I think that right now, it'd be exactly what people would want to watch.
Yeah.
I think that families stuck inside would absolutely love to watch this show right now.
But a favourite moment, something that you just went, oh wow, that's
was working with Timothy Spall was actually very special, and I was listening to what you were saying. And I was like, yeah, no, I can totally empathise with that, because I was. Seems I was playing his son in it, and just some really nice kind of two-hander scenes. Lovely, yeah. Some really sort of intimate conversations. I know there are just moments where you kind of just going, you just have a little moment and go, this is pretty cool, And these are people that you look up to, that you just, and like you said, all you can do in those situations is just soak it up, watch and learn. What I love the most about him was how much he'd been in so many things that I've loved and admired over the years, but what a nice man. Like, I would sit and chat with him about football, and he talked to me. I was the same age as, I think I'm the same age as Rafe Spall. I think he would do, you're same age as my son. And he talked to me about, like, and he always compared me to, my son used to do that. And he was so, like, proud of his family and his kids, and just such a warm, lovely guy. And that's your dream person to work with, someone you admire, who you can learn from, you can soak up. But he's just total salt of the earth, lovely bloke. I always remember when I was in Emmerdale, I remember you always meet people, and they'd say to you, "Oh, you're all right, my mate. I heard you were a dickhead, or whatever."
All the time.
You're like, what? Where's that come from? Never met you in my life, and you get it all. Every time you met someone new, he'd be like, "Oh, yeah, no, you're all right. My mate told me you were a dickhead, or someone saw you said you looked funny at him, or." And it just you sort of built this reputation out of absolutely nothing. And I think it's just in some people's nature to just drag people down from some position of perceived success or whatever, And it's just I hate to use the word bitter, but I think some people just, it makes them feel better to drag other people down.
I mean, I am a dickhead. I just don't know how they know that. That's the
yeah, exactly. That was it.
Yeah. They've spied on some of your Zoom quizzes. That's how they know.
Yeah.
Oh God, if they saw that, we're done for.
Going on what you were saying there, Tom Felton, who was in Harry Potter with me, he told me this story once about someone, and I wasn't who it was, and basically they'd said to him, this was many years ago, and they were like, "Well, that Alan Rickman's a cunt, isn't he?" And he's like, "What do you mean?" Just walked past me, didn't even say hello to me, didn't even say hello. And Tom was like, "Well, did you say hello to him?" He's like, shouldn't have to. And it's like, what? And like, that's literally like, just going on what you said, Anthony, like, that's the mentality that some people literally have. And that's why people get a bad rep. Like there you go. Because once you get to a certain level, like, you're expected to be 100% nice to everyone all the time. And if you're not for one split second, or maybe you just didn't even fucking see him because they didn't say hello either, you're
Yeah. And it's not even being bad to people. It's just not being proactively nice. And it's kind of this, and I think I learned very early on in the industry, because I'd hear so many stories that turned out to be bollocks. I think I learned very early I'll form opinions about people when I meet them or get to know them. Otherwise, I'm not interested. There's so many people would say to me, "Oh, so-and-so's a dickhead. Oh, do you know him? Oh, no, but he just seems like I've heard it. I've met him. Oh, no, well, then just shut up."
And I've discovered it, like you just said, I've discovered it so many times. Alan is just one prime example of someone who is he was a lovely man. But I've had that so many times when people have given me a preconceived opinion of somebody, and then further down the line, I've met them, I've worked with them, and it's just been bollocks. And they've just been incredibly warm and nice and friendly. And it's just like, holy shit, for the last 5 years, I thought this of you because that's what someone told me. And it just isn't true. I think I can think of one example where from my personal experience was accurate, and then every single other person, it's never been true. I've honestly, hand on heart, and I'm very, very fortunate with this. I've only ever worked with someone who was difficult once. They weren't even an awful person; they were just quite difficult to work with. And I've only met one actor who was a complete twat. In my entire career, in my entire 20 years, 25 years. That's it.
Yeah. Cool. Matt, favorite moment?
I think I would have to sort of go along similar lines to what Anthony said, and it's just kind of a moment where I'm just like, what the hell am I doing? Like I just so privileged and lucky, really, to be doing this job that I do. I remember I got a call asking if I wanted to fly out last minute. Like I had to fly out the next day to Budapest in Hungary to do 3 days on this film. That night we were on set. A lot of the crew didn't speak English, or not hugely spoke English. So it was kind of like the group that were there that were English or American or whatever kind of stuck together. And I looked around, and there was me, Tom Turgoose, Margot Robbie, who was producing it, Simon Pegg, who was starring in it, Dexter Fletcher, and Mike Myers. And I was just like, what the hell am I doing? Like, what is my life? Like, I could have said no to this, and I just thought, well, it's 2-3 days, I'll fly out and do it. It was crazy. It was absolutely insane, and it was one of those really pinch yourself moments. And I've gone, wow, this is class. So friendly, so nice, so accommodating, so generous. Great 3 days in Hungary, and even though I've not seen the film, I won't forget the experience of it.
Let's talk briefly about the film.
This film's been sort of something that we've been developing for quite a while, actually, and we, like I say, we originally wrote it and did it as a play, and then we've been developing it into a film, and it's been a good few years of getting it off the ground and getting the right time, getting the money together, and Matt's been on board as an exec producer. We've had we sort of pulled in favours from as many people as we could get who wanted to sort of be part of this, and we felt it was a really important message. Really, it was about men having a conversation and trying to break down that sort of barrier of communication, which seems to still be a bit, a thing, and that stigma of men talking about important issues. I think when we first did it as a play, I don't think people were discussing it as much as they are now. And then obviously with the current situation, I think there's a lot of people are addressing their mental health a lot more at the moment, and I think some people are maybe struggling a lot at the moment, and I think it's just trying to kind of spark that conversation. And so yeah, so we did this film. It was a two-hander on a roof, shot in East London. Got quite a picturesque sort of location, and we're really proud of what we did. Really, we did a sort of preview screening night at the BFI in London, which Matt came down to and saw, so we got to see it on the screen, and then it's been accepted into a bunch of festivals. But I was saying the other day, the two things that I was so excited about this year was watching Leeds get promoted and taking our film to the festivals. And it does feel like, listen, people have got things 100 million times worse than that, but it's all relative. In my own small little bubble, it's felt a little bit like the rug's been pulled out a little bit. But yeah, we're really proud of it. We feel like it's got a good message, and it's something that we were sort of really happy and wanted to show people. And hopefully we'll see how that goes over the next few months. Because we were thinking, well, to go to the festivals, you can't just be two blokes sat talking. But then actually, as we sort of got into the edit, we actually went, that's kind of the beauty of the film, actually. That sort of two almost kind of kindred spirits who are from, on paper, two couldn't be more different. But actually, as they get to talking, they realise that we're all just human beings and we've all got our own shit and problems and everything else. And it's about that sort of finding common ground as humans, as opposed to this thing at the moment where we seem to, it's a massive thing in the US, it's a big thing here. Everyone just seems to want to put themselves into one of two camps. And it's kind of, they've never been more divided in that sense. And so I don't think that's helping anybody's mental health, actually. And so we just felt that, so you're absolutely right with the simplicity. And I'm glad you said that, because actually we kind of feel that's the part of the beauty of it, actually.
There's something about that I've noticed, and it's taken me until this moment, actually, to realize about being an actor, is that actually there's never really any, or at least for me, there hasn't ever really been a moment to not be an actor for the last 25 years. So I started when I was 5, and even when I finish a job and I think, oh great, I've finished now, I've got some time off, it's like, yeah, but I'm constantly trying to get the next one. So from the moment I finish a job, or even sometimes a few weeks before I finish a job, I'm self-taping. I'm learning 11 pages of dialogue for a meeting on Wednesday. I've got to be in shape, but I can't let myself go because then I won't get another job. And it's constantly just trying to be. Even on my honeymoon, we went away, and okay, so I wasn't filming anything. I was away in Hawaii, but I did 2 self-tapes in the hotel room that week because I was like, when I get back, I have nothing to do unless I get a job. So I need to be constantly doing it. This is the first time in 25 years that there's nothing. I don't have to learn a script. I don't have to be on tape on Tuesday. I don't have to be. It's the first time my agent said, I'm not going to be calling you at any point for anything. And it's as surreal as it is. It's quite nice. And I know it's like, again, it's all relative. Like, it's an awful thing to say because I'm very fortunate that I have worked a lot, and I know there's a lot of people who would like to be working, and I would like to be working, but just for a moment to just go, you know what, I have complete freedom right now. And again, it's I appreciate that it's such a privileged position to hold. But I was just trying to go back to what you were saying, that it's okay to do nothing. You don't have to beat yourself up for that.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just nice to just realize, spend time with your wife or your kids, or just be able to do that without a distraction is actually kind of, because at the reality, at the end of the day, that's your life, isn't it? Once you retire, that's all you've got in it, and it's I think people forget that sometimes. It's actually quite nice to be able to do that. I think.
I think it's nice to for a few weeks to not have a job and not be kicking my ass about it being my fault I don't have a job.
Absolutely the thing, because you're absolutely right. As even when there is that saying, isn't it, that nobody moans more than an actor when they're in work.
Yeah.
So it's like we get a job and it's a good job or whatever it might be. We still find something to moan about.
Just go what you said there. It's like my pet hate that I always talk about is whenever I get a job, the first thing someone asks is not what's the job, they go, so what's next? What's next? And you got something lined up for after. I'm like, okay, can you let me do this one?
Yeah.
Do you know what? I think because our parents have been there for since we were little doing it, they kind of get it. So they don't. It's more likely to be like a distant aunt or something. You'll be like, why don't you do that Game of Thrones? All right then. Never thought of that.
My wife's grandmother, she's obsessed with General Hospital. I don't know if you've ever seen General Hospital.
Oh, yeah.
And she's always like, "Oh, Matt, you need to get in one of these.
Days of our lives.
You're good enough to be in one of these."
You're good enough. So when's that meeting set for?
That was as soon as this is all over.
Something about the number 11.
Basically, when I was 18, I wanted to get a tattoo because I don't know, I was never Longbottom and I wanted to be something else. I don't know, and I wanted to rebel or something. And I literally wore number 11 for football at school. That was just literally the number I wore at school. So I got that tattooed on my arm. And then I lied to someone in an interview once. I don't know if that's what's on there. I have no idea. Where they asked me why I got it, and I said, "Oh, I'm a big Stranger Things fan."
This is better than that.
So I just said, "Yes, I'm a big Stranger Things fan." So I got the character 11 tattooed on my arm. But I mean, this tattoo's older than Millie Bobby Brown, so I don't know.
So this basically, honestly, some things just make me laugh out loud. This made me laugh out loud because I thought it must be bollocks. Because he said Lewis has described his association with the number 11 and how it appeared multiple times throughout his life, right? Which is fine. But then, for example, get these examples. First one, fair enough. He was 11 years old when obtaining the role in Harry Potter. He has a tattoo of the number 11 on his right arm and also owns clothing with the number 11 on.
Are they counting trousers? Like two?
That is freaky that I bought these clothes with 11 on. What a coincidence.
What do you think the industry is going to look like off the back of this, and what advice would you give?
There was a whole conversation about it this morning, actually. I was at work, they were talking about it on BBC Breakfast. They were talking about the culture and arts, and it almost feels like it's going to be kind of back of the queue for restarting, cinemas, theatres, galleries, museums. It always feels like that's going to kind of be sort of not it's going to be bottom of the priority ladder. The smaller theatres and that they won't survive this at all. And I wonder whether some of the stuff that people have been embracing from a TV perspective, people trying to do kind of creative Zoom ideas. I wonder whether that's going to be something that ends up becoming almost the new norm in terms of film TV. Maybe people recording and filming theatres, but it's not going to raise the revenue. And I think the money's going to be that's where the big problem is going to lie. And I do worry for the future of theatres, especially. People need to start maybe making room for a new audience, because I think that's the only way some of these people are going to get through this, I think. So it's more of a plea than advice, really. It's for people of higher power than I've got. But and then on the flip side of that, I think people, when it does reopen, put as much money as you can as possible. And I think people who've had shows cancelled. I saw Chichester had to cancel all their people who had tickets booked. I think where possible, if people can still afford to not ask for their money back and let the theatres keep the money for their tickets and understand that keeps those people afloat. I think where I get people I've got to feed their families and everything else. So that's not putting pressure on anybody. But I think if people can afford to do that, I think that would go a long way, I think.
Films and, especially something like Harry Potter, with the amount of extras and things that you have on a set, and when are we ever going to get back to those days?
Your guess is as good as mine. I mean, I had a meeting with the head of casting at CBS a couple of weeks ago, and so they're still kind of doing Zoom meetings at the minute, like just general meetings, just trying to keep people going, because they're kind of like, we're aware that everyone's kind of at a loose end, but we're raring to go as soon as all this comes to an end. So they're actively, speaking to actors and having an eye on casting shows that they've got ready to go. I mean, this came smack in the middle of pilot season, all of this. We've got a bunch of network TV shows that they were hoping to get made, and obviously a bunch of cable shows that we're hoping to get made, and that applies to films as well. I mean, we never even got, as talking to my manager, we never even got to the film period. We didn't even get that far this year before everything shut down. So there's kind of a lot of things that are being sat on, and I know that the studios are very, very eager. In terms of your question, when that's going to be, I just don't know. I mean, I don't know when it's going to be feasible in terms of safety. I mean, if you look at it from a cinema and theatre perspective, even if the government gives the green light, like, are people gonna want to go out? Do we insist that theatres and cinemas play to half-empty auditoriums just because we've got to show people that it's safe? Like, is that financially viable? Like, is that? I just don't know. I've got a film that I was in, that we shot in New Zealand last year, that was supposed to be coming out next month at Sydney Film Festival. That's not happening. So we've not only have we got films and TV shows that are scripts ready to get going, we've got a bunch of major studio Hollywood films, indie films, TV shows that are just sitting in a cutting room somewhere, ready to be showcased.
So a very creative family. Where does that come from?
Him, you.
Well, no, it must come from somewhere further. But I started it, I guess, through school, and then Matt kind of tagged along, and then used, because he's a few years younger than me, and started doing it. And then I think Chris was there as well, because we all used to go together, because my mum would always drag us all. I think Matthew did a job with Kay, didn't you? And you were like 5. Yeah. And me and Chris tagged along with that as well. And our mum used to. And our dad, he was taking us up and down the motorway to like Granada TV and Manchester, and wherever we needed to be at 7 o'clock in the morning, we'd be taken.
They bought into it 100%, and so when I don't know what their reaction was when I said I wanted to do it as well. I was like, oh, bloody hell, another one. But yeah,
you had mum there for mum was with you for all of Harry Potter, wasn't she?
Yes, yeah, 10 years, yeah.
Wow. So she was your chaperone.
Yeah, so obviously we started at like 10, 11, so we had to have a chaperone, and then inexplicably, because it was an American production, they kind of said, oh, we'd rather have chaperones until they're 21, which I don't think is even the law in America, so I don't really know why, but that's kind of what they insisted on.
They didn't want you all getting pissed up.
I guess it was fine, because like from the age of about 16, my mum just kind of got paid to be there, and she just sat around doing crosswords. It was kind of easy, really.
Right.
Like, if they're going to pay her, then why not?
Listen, thank you, gents. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Let's hope Leeds go up, and let's hope there's a rugby league season to get back to at some point. Matt, go back to your gardening and your 5 litres of. It wasn't tequila, was it? It was margaritas.
Well, yeah, the gallon of margarita. I polished that off. I'm on the beers now.
Is that what you were drinking in that massive cup that you just?
No, this is just me. This is me water. This is.
No, gents. Thank you very much. It's been a real pleasure talking to you. Lovely to see you again. Good luck with the film. Good luck, both of you. Good luck with the film when they're finally released.
Cheers, Lee. Cheers, Mike. Thanks, guys.
See you later.
Thanks everybody for tuning in tonight. Tonight's been a really lovely one.
Looking forward to Wednesday.
Don't forget, like, subscribe, join in the chat. And from me and Lee, adios from the bunker. Roll credits.